This is DJ Babu.
What up, this is Rakaa.
Evidence.
We are
Dilated Peoples. Splash, man. Let's go.
Das Splash-Magazin heute mit einer neuen Episode. Wir sind auf dem 15. Splash und bei uns heute zu Gast sind Dilated Peoples. I'm handing in some records and want to get your impressions about these records and talk a little bit about these jams. So let us start with the first one.
You know, that's like I'm from Rocksteady Crew, so this is a family project. Shout out to the whole Rocksteady family. This is, you know, crazy. Some of the guys weren't too happy later to hear I go up to, hey, you Rocksteady Crew. But I mean, this was a classic piece, and it was a family record. It showed that at that time, they recognized that hip-hop was the tastemaker culture, and people wanted to figure out how to get hip-hop involved in whatever, so they found the B-Boy crew and said, let's get you guys in the studio and see what happens.
Okay, as Splash is holding it down for the 4 hip-hop elements too, so had you already a chance to look through the venue and catch the graffiti writers or B-boys?
No, we actually just got here not too long ago. We just drove in from we had a show at a different festival in Switzerland last night, so we just got here not too long ago and checked in. But I mean, we've been to Splash. This is our 3rd time rocking Splash, and we already know how it goes down. You know, we just talked to one of our good friends that's here, and he said that there were some really dope graffiti pieces celebrating the anniversary and whatnot. So, yeah.
Okay, so the next one.
This is our first 12-inch we dropped. Babu was not in the group yet, which is interesting. Our first single was featuring Defari, which is crazy. We had a feature on our first record ever because a lot of people thought he was part of the group. They might have not actually bought the 12-inch and just saw the video or heard the song and, you know, thought it was a crew. And Confidence in Global Dynamics, pretty crazy. Historical fact, this is the first beat that Alchemist ever got on wax.
Okay.
Actually, the first 2, Third Degree and Confidence. So it's kind of like a breakthrough record for a lot of us. You know what I mean? And that's pretty crazy. It is dedicated to Jeremy Segrist, Freck, and Chioki Hall, which is, you know, these are like, I'm sorry, Chioki Hall. Yeah, these are like 2 people who are very dear to us. You know what I'm saying? And the executive producer is Verify, who is my father. So, yeah, my dad lent us, keyword lent us $1,000 that he definitely collected back. Yeah, he's the executive producer. He funded the record for this to get pressed, which was amazing. And this did a lot of damage for us. Led to the next 12-inch, another 3-song format, Work the Angles, Main Event, and Triple Optics. And Triple Optics was the first record that Babu cut on, and that's when we became officially Dilated Peoples. Yeah. So, big up.
So, Defari was featured, so it's true that he somehow connected you as a crew, because you mentioned that in the first step you were like a duo, and then I think you handed Defari the Bionic, or he handed it over to Babu.
Well, that's true. It is. Rakaa and I were a group long before we ever met Defari, you know. But the first record I ever produced that came out on a piece of vinyl was Bionic. Was before this. Yeah. So, Bionic, you know, Babu, and I met Babu, and I tried to give him the Bionic, and that connected us. So yeah, Defari in a way put us all together. If you want. And the 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, Bionic and this record especially remind me of a time, like right before I was in the group, I was friends with Evan Rock, but I was DJing on the radio station. I was doing a radio show for Soul Assassins Radio on The Beat, which is a big station in LA, and just seeing this 12-inch reminds me of that time. I'd play this record like every Friday night for a long time, and Bionic too. They were both in the mix, and like I was a big fan before I even got into the group. So, but yeah, fond memories of this record.
Okay, and must have been a real hustle back then to get like a 12-inch pressed, and compared to nowadays, where like everybody and his mother can do like a record, a mixtape, drop it. Only thing they need is like an internet access.
It's definitely a different day now. You know, it's a double-edged sword. You know, a lot of nonsense is going to get through, but a lot of things that you might not have been exposed to that you'll love, you know, also gets through. So. Yeah, but you can do that to buy the computer, and once you have that, that's a whole record, you know, radio station, record label, studio, design studio, distribution point, like everything comes out of that. Yeah. So But no, I mean, it's, it is a lot easier now to do it. You had to really be connected or really have the resources and the focus to really want to spend that kind of time and money to deal with this at that time. Now, you just record something at the crib, master it at the crib, and just put it on the web from there, and that could jumpstart your whole career.
But do you feel there's like a lack of quality control nowadays?
Yeah, there's like a quality control for sure.
Yeah.
There's more people getting through, so it's going to be more diluted. But just because there's more garbage coming through doesn't mean there's not also more good stuff coming through. Also, some people that would not have known how to play the game before, would not have known how to do the political thing or whatever. Now their talent can just speak for them. They can put out a project and not have to deal with the politics if necessarily. So yeah, I take the bitter with the sweet.
Okay, so on to the next one.
This is Dilated People's The Platform. Yeah, this is our first full-length LP on Capital ABB.
This is the first album I ever saw with the titles on the front. Never seen that before.
Pretty uncommon.
And in the back, this was Rakaa's idea. All movements begin underground. So it's really like a minimalist piece, but it's beautiful. It also represents the gay community in a weird way. So, dope, covering all bases.
So
this would definitely go popular on Instagram if this was Instagram time. Shout out to Brent Rollins.
Yeah, Brent Rollins, Ego Trip.
Okay. And you've considered this as not being your real first album because there was like a collection of 12 inches.
We actually consider this to be our real first album. We were a group for a long time, and we work with a lot of people. We spent a lot of time in the studio even before we put out this record. So there are definitely different incarnations of projects floating around and groups of songs people put together that we've never, we see on tour. Like someone just hand us a CD. Like how do you even have these songs? Like so. We don't really have control over any of that, but this we had control over from the beginning to the end, and so I consider this our first album.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, G. You got Triple Optics, you got Work the Angles, you have songs that were released, main events on there, but nothing from the first 12-inch made it. So that was kind of dope. We kept that one sacred. But if you had been following us, you knew some of the songs. Even Platform as a 12-inch came out. With Annihilation, which is another song. So you kind of grew with the record, but to anybody who bought it knew it was 16 brand new joints. And proud of that album still.
Okay, so let's head to the next one. Maybe this is one for you guys.
Yeah, Claiming Respect, live from Copenhagen. Babu and I went out on tour with Jurassic 5 and Supernatural and a bunch of people a long time ago, and once we booked that tour, we got a call from Denmark about a project called Boulevard Connection, and they called and said, "Hey, we want to go on tour, and we want you guys to come out. You guys are already in Europe. Can you meet us out here?" And so we got there, and maybe the second day we were there, they're like, "Let's all go to the studio." And they just started putting you, Last Emperor Rashid, Melee, now he's Melee Sparks, but you guys get in the studio and let's make a song. We're like, all right. We literally just walked across town. Everyone jumped in the studio, and this is what he came out with. So, it's now become kind of a classic, definitely a classic piece of vinyl, but even a song in certain circles has become a classic. So, it always feels good to be associated with something like that.
And they even dropped the second edition of this with like a Common and Master Ace.
Yeah, they did. They did do that. Yeah, I think this just had like a certain kind of special vibe with it. Yeah. The energy of everybody just hanging out and being together. Some people's first time to Europe, where, they were just, everything was new and fresh. So the energy was really strong and high. And we were also spending a lot of time in Christiania out there in Denmark, which, took a lot of the edge off. We were very relaxed for our entire trip there. So that also, made its way into the album too.
And shout out to DJ Typhoon also. He's the homie who kind of really pulled it all together. He's like, if you don't know, Typhoon's like old school DMC DJ champ, and and over the years he's just like a fixture in the hip hop community over there, and in Denmark, and even up to now, we still keep up to him. We keep up with him. We come to Copenhagen, we're gonna see him for sure. But he's kind of the one to pull everyone together at the studio, get the producer contacts, and pick the beat, and made it happen. But that's our homie, DJ Typhoon.
And it seems like important to you guys to build like a network over the world, a Dilated family worldwide. I mean, Rakaa, you had some bunch of Korean MCs on your last album, on your first album.
I mean, yeah, it's a big world, you know. I mean, if it's only language and artificial borders that separate us, you know, that's a small thing for me to get over. You know, if we get in a room together and we vibe, I respect you as an artist, you respect me as an artist, and we can get down and make some music together. So, yeah, I mean, I'm from Los Angeles, California, but, you know, I always thought of this as a worldwide movement and that needed to be approached as a worldwide movement. Like, nothing you wait till the end of your career and try to find new ways to make money. That stuff is corny to me. Like, I think, like, if you respect the world and, you know, the world will embrace you and take care of you. And we've been good. We spent a lot of time investing in that relationship early, and it's taking care of us, you know, up to date.
Okay. Move to the next record.
Expansion Team. Expansion Team was, yeah, definitely. Shout out once again to Brent Rollins for the artwork on that too. B+ in the photos, yeah. Block on the inside photo. Shout out to Big Block. This was actually a really big record to us, and you know, this is a album for us. We spent a lot of time in New York. I remember like a lot of D&D experiences and just really good energy surrounding us at this time. We were still pretty much in a relatively good place with our record label at that time. Like, you know, everyone was on the same page, working in the same direction. The people that were there were capable and, you know, knew what they were doing. So this obviously has Worst Come to Worst on it, and that was a huge record for us. It's still one of our biggest records. And I think that this album introduced us. This album kind of put us in a different place. You know, this, especially being the second album, you know, people work on, they say they work on your first album your whole life and your second album in a few months or whatever. And this album, you know, in my opinion and in most people's opinion, was actually a bigger and better album. Like, we were actually still growing and getting better as a unit, as a group. You know, Ev and Babs were spending a lot more time producing, so they were much more comfortable in the studio. It was just a really good time, and I think that was reflected in this album.
We were never big about being on our covers, and then this one we decided to be on it, but you notice that we're kind of like silhouette almost, you know, so that both of these were like symbolic in a lot of ways. Like, this, the platform, we're from LA, but everyone kind of, you know, labeled us as an East Coast sound before they connected everything. And this is the LA subway, which people don't even know existed. So it was kind of like the underground beneath everybody. And this one is like the airport. So to me, it was like kind of going up a little bit, you know, symbolic.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Connecting the dots.
Like stars, yeah.
Yeah, throughout the world with the logo was sick. And yeah, it was a good record. I think this is good. I think these two records are very similar in the energy that they're made. And if you'll notice, this is made in 2000 and 2001, and that means that we were pumping. There wasn't a big gap between records. We were staying fresh with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the next record was probably produced in that Expansion Team era.
Yeah, this is from my Duck Season series when I was on Sequence Records. But yeah, this is was really big for me because at the time, the Duck Season series started off as more of a mixtape compilation series. You know, I would license a bunch of songs and mix them. And on this album, I actually, you know, speaking to Patrick Moxie and the label Time Sequence, I'm like, I'm trying to like get my own production out there too. I'd love to sneak a couple joints on there that if you guys could help me get, you know, make room for me on my record to do. And at the time, I mean, this is a direct product of us recording Expansion Team at D&D. I mean, so many people were hanging out at the studio, and fortunate enough, we had Juju from the Beat Nuts producing one of our records, and we all hit it off with all these folks. But I really hit it off with Ju, and I was like, man, I have this beat. You know, I'm working on this little record. I'd love to get you and Les on it, and yeah, and I got to record, and they actually got Al Tariq on it at a time when they had officially taken Al Tariq out of the group. So I'm not sure since then. I'm sure they've worked again, but At this time, it was really cool for me as being like a hip hop geeky DJ fan of the Beat Nuts. I was like, you know, not only did I get a song with the Beat Nuts, but you know, they also pulled Al Tariq on it too. So it was really cool for me. And then obviously on the other side, you know, I got a really dope song that never made Jurassic 5's album called Ducky Boy that Cut Chemist produced, which is a real gem for DJs too. But yeah, good memories right there.
I mean, this was like a big hit and a big underground hit. So, do you think this really like established yourself as a capable producer? Because first there was like DJ Babu, but now you showed like, man, I got some skills on the boards too.
I mean, I'm still working at it, but I feel like this era was like really good for me as a producer because I you know, especially with Evan Rock, I was like, I don't want to just be the live show DJ. I want to contribute on every side, and so on this album was the first time. I mean, I think I produced one song on the platform.
I did the majority of this one, but you did way more of this.
Yeah, and this was like, you know, Evan. It was big for Evan Rock to have the confidence to choose some of my beats and let me rock on this. And I was still feeling that energy, obviously, going into this project and being confident enough to step to the Beat Nuts. And I mean, those Beat Nuts are like the best producers ever. You know, top 10 for me for sure. So for them to like something and actually spit on it as just MCs, like, it was really cool. But yeah, that was I'm still trying to establish myself, but this time was, you know, really made me feel as if all them thousands of dollars I spent on records and equipment was really worth it. And I put my head down since then and really put a lot of that energy into production. Okay. Yeah.
And all these recorded on 2-inch tape, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Yeah, it's like big sound.
Big studio, pre-Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Pre-Pro
Tools. All three of those.
Okay, next one. F, I think this is for you.
It's for all of us, for sure. Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, it's crazy because we made, well, I don't know what's coming up next, but we had just finished Neighborhood Watch album right when this was dropping. You know, at a time when we didn't realize, or the world didn't realize what he was going to become. So, you know, he worked on our record as a producer, this guy who makes ill beats. You know what I'm saying? And then while he was producing us, he was showing us the video for Through the Wire. And, you know, and then we were like there for the beginning of it, which was real dope. And then I guess, you know, the reason I would be affiliated is the last song, Last Call, which is, I got to produce with him, which was big, which led to a Grammy and all that cool stuff. And a lot of people say that song is their favorite song on the album, which is a big compliment, with songs like Through the Wire and Two Words and Slow Jams. And just, this album is sick to me. Like, Kanye West has got better to me as his career has gone on. Like, I don't know, his improvement is, I definitely look up to him as far as music goes from here till now. But this record was his most innocent work to me. Like, now he's better at rapping, his spitting is better, he's got the thing down, he got it, performed all over the world. This one he was still like punching in, you know what I'm saying? And it was like, some of it was offbeat almost, but it was like, I love it for that. So yeah, this is like one of my favorite hip hop albums, which is crazy. Yeah.
When I see that, it just reminds me of touring that album with him. Like, it was really going out for like 2 months. Dilated, Kanye, he had John Legend with him, you know, playing keys and singing. It was a fun tour. We were out for a little while, and you know, during that time, it was but it's a heavy scene, man. Like, it was also a very dynamic time on a number of levels too. So looking at it is like a lot of mixed feelings, you know, but for the most part, you know, positive.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned it, like you had him on Neighborhood Watch on This Way. So, I mean, some hardcore Dilated fans were back then hating on this like new sound that you presented. So, could you understand back then, or even nowadays, that they had some like mixed feelings?
It's so weird because doing that song with him for a week and experiencing it, you know, there was no way anyone could tell me anything because I felt it in the studio. We shot the video for it. Everything about it was like, this is crazy. But also you got to understand that we saw the evolution of the track unfold. We didn't get this track with singing on it, fill in your little verse here, and that's it. We watched him build it from scratch, starting with a drum beat, then a flute. When the drum beat and the flute was going on, we were saying it reminded us of Fuck the Police by Jay Dilla, because it was just a raw flute and a drum, right? But then came John Legend with the keys. Then came Keisha Cole, who sang on it, who he took off, who put John Legend on. Then came the acoustic guitar player. Then came the fucking choir. All this shit, we watched it all get built, you know? So it wasn't, to me, it was like, an evolution. You know what I'm saying? And when people got presented with it and heard it all at once, I read some negative reviews and stuff, but it never like jaded my feelings, or like sometimes a review could mess with me, but that one didn't. And over the time test, I think it's come around to where a lot of those same people are the same people like this, you know. So I think it's a great record, and so much history involved with it that I can understand how, you know, you leave off with Worst Come to Worst and then there's this. I get it now looking back on it, but at the time I was all for it. But it is funny because we talked about 2000 to 2001, and that dropped to the end of 2004. So people were waiting for a while for something, and then we came with that. You know, it was like, I think if we had dropped that right after the next one or whatever, it just kind of would have been a continuum, but the anticipation was high. The other thing to say is that we did drop Marathon first, which is like a classic Dilated record, so the balance was all there to me.
The campaign was, you know, like I said, we did drop Marathon, but the record label, you know, they you know, they're strictly business. They could care less about art for the most part. So in their mind, they're like, yeah, that's cool, that 12-inch is fine, but we're not even looking. There's no video, there's no support, there's no real movement for that. We want this record with the singing on it because that's what. But if you only like Dilated because of Worst Come to Worst, then there's nothing else on the album that sounds like Worst Come to Worst either. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you don't like us because of This Way, there's nothing else on the album that sounds like This Way either. Every song sounds different. So I can't really, you know, get caught up in somebody getting fixated on one song and saying we don't like an artist because of one painting when there's a whole body of work to see, you know, they have an opinion, and that's, I mean, it's always mixed feelings no matter what record it is. Even the song you think everybody loves it, everybody doesn't love it. There's mixed feelings out there. If one person had, like, I kind of like it but I don't like it, that's mixed feelings. If two people in a room and one likes it and one doesn't, that's just opinion. It's no problem.
On to the next one. Somebody you probably know real well.
Look at him. Hey, he's wearing a big Carhartt suit.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So some people consider him as like the fourth member of Dilated.
I would say he named the group. You know what I'm saying? He came up with the name. So that warrants enough right there. Half LA, half New York. You get it? This album is tough, man. This album is sick. It's like, I think the cover is the weakest part about the whole shit, to be honest. And that's not even, you know, over the top. Yeah, it just looks like it's the outfit.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. His hairline was definitely on the forehead, pushed forward at that point. No, I mean, it's fuck, man. I can't, you know, Alchemist wins, man. He just wins. It's like, yo, shit's crazy, man. Dopest shit about this album is he sent it to me, to LA, to have it mastered. So I sat in the studio with Bernie Grumman and mastered the whole album for him and sent it back, which was sick. Got to sequence it and everything. Sick. So yeah, I was kind of involved in it. Dilated song for the record is, I think we should start performing that. Yeah. And Hold You Down is still relevant till this day. And he's got locks on it like twice. Nas and Prodigy together, just dumb. This was like, I think this made a lot of producers do compilation albums. Yeah, I think there's before him, obviously. I mean, he came up on Marley Marl and everybody else. But Pete Rock, Soul Survivor, we had a lot of them to look at, if, you know, whatever it was, but this really was the shit. Yeah.
I mean, the last time you visited Splash, you brought him over here to Germany.
Yeah.
So where is he right now?
In the studio. He's in the studio. He's actually doing an album with MC8 and Spice One.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, crazy.
I just read that on Twitter. But yeah, yo, man, this guy's definitely salute.
Speaking of which, I just saw on Twitter that you actually spell Gia, Geah, or something like that. I always spelled it with a J before for some reason, like Gia, MC8. But Gia, like I just Geah or something, like he had it spelled. Like G, like maybe I just seen it. I'm just so used to it. Yeah.
Okay. So, I think this is something for Babu.
Hey, Rufus.
Shout out to our homie Dwayne. Rufy. I like it. No, but yeah, this was just you know, Defari is the homie, you know what I'm saying, obviously, and you know, at this time, you know, what's crazy about this, I think about it now, this is like pre-recession, and we just got Pro Tools, everyone got studios at their own crib, and I kind of live in the cut, so Defari would drive out to work at my lab in my house, which I live probably like, you know, close to an hour outside of LA, and he would just come to the crib and we would just knock out joints, and it was just a real organic, natural project that it just turned into a few songs that we were starting to like, and we had this whole common denominator was our love for soul music and soul loops and samples, and yeah, it was cool, like, you know, but it was just cool because you know, it just gave me a little bit more room to spread my wings, and it was my first time I really completely produced a whole project from top to bottom, interludes and everything, and just being responsible for everything without having my usual team with me, you know what I'm saying? So it was a real challenge. I actually mixed it and recorded it at my crib, and yeah, I mean, me and Defari actually have a part 2 which we recorded a lot of, but then I had, like, you know, the horrendous hard drive crash of 2010 that I still feel up to this day. But you know, we have a lot of 2-tracked versions of songs that we're just kind of like, at this point, fuck it, we're gonna put it out. I'd like to say later this year, just maybe even on some free internet blog type of thing, or collab with a clothing company or something, to put out the next Likwit Junkie album, just for the hardcores who have been asking and demanding for it. But yeah, I love it. Some of my favorite beats and some of my favorite songs I've been involved with.
So I actually wanted to ask you where Defari, or what is he up to right now, because it's been like quiet from his side in a couple of years.
Yeah. Shouts out to D. He still does the music when he can, but you know, he's also a full-time father of 2, and he actually is these days working in the film industry. So yeah, he's been doing sound and camera shit for like entertainment shows in LA and stuff. But you know, that's our dude. He's still always around in our minds and our hearts. But you know, it's not a weird thing for Defari to pop up and have a song with us or jump on at a show still up to this point. But yeah, but these days he's you know, doing his thing still. You know, really good father and doing his damn thing. So
okay. Next one.
Go. Step it up.
First solo joint, fresh, hype, love the cover. We tried to do Sin City, seems like it worked. It's actually shot on a really sunny day, which was pretty fresh. And there was a light right here, popping, hitting me, boom. And then the back is like a play on, what's the Tom Cruise movie where he can...
Vanilla Sky?
No, the other one.
Minority Report.
Minority Report. These are all people holding umbrellas, you know, and like there's a scene in the movie where they hide under the umbrella. So that was that. And first solo album, we had, if you read the inside of this album, it says, look out, Expansion Team 2001, look out for our solo albums coming soon. So this is 2007. It took a little longer than planned, but it was dope. This is a good record. There's 21 IDs, but there's 16 songs. I recorded 16 songs for it. Didn't question anything. As soon as it was done, mixed it. Didn't look back. So there was a lot. This was a good time. And I actually wasn't smoking weed for a lot of this album, which was interesting for me. There's like a bunch of songs here that I wasn't high for, which is crazy. And then there are a bunch that are, and I think they blend well. So yeah, I'm proud of this record and still performing it. And I think it definitely set up for the layover in Cats and Dogs as well, just to build a new movement. We had talked about it for a long time. I think this definitely set something off.
And was it really hard for you, like, to stand on your own toes and doing your own stuff instead of like having the crew involved?
Yeah, at first, especially performing, because we're in a group. You know, he can sense when I'm getting weak. The lyric is there. You know, and I the same. It's like there's rarely a time in a Dilated show where we miss a word and then we both hit the next one. It's not like that. It's always pretty good. And I wasn't used to rapping by myself. You know, so I had to improve at that. It's definitely made me a better everything, having done that from 2007 to 2012, solo shows, you know, and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a little weird. A lot of people doubted. Yeah, a bunch of good stuff. But I think that charged it, and I think we prevailed. So it's dope. Yeah.
This is my first solo album. as Ev said, we spoke many years ago about these coming soon, and mine took a little longer than Ev's took, so it was a lot longer than expected. But
2011.
2000. No, that's it.
10.
Yeah, I don't even know. I was like, when did I put this up? 2010. Yeah, exactly. I like to consider this probably the most LA album in the world, or maybe the most worldly album to come out of LA. It's an honest depiction of LA. It's not like what you would necessarily expect. I mean, it's an honest depiction of what streets are, you know, what the streets look like in LA, the graffiti scene in LA, my personal journey, and then it also infuses, you know, some of the how we connect this side of the bridge to the world, like with songs like Ambassador Slang and whatnot. So yeah, this is a really crazy album. It's a very political album, but not necessarily governmental politics. It just deals with the day-to-day politics of life in a really dynamic way. So I was glad to get this out, and you know, I'm always glad when people are feeling it. It's a good thing.
And a nice cover painting too. So
yeah, that's by my man Doze, Doze Green, Rocksteady crew. He's in here on this first Rocksteady thing you showed me. But yeah, my man Doze Green, I think he's probably in there. Where's Doze at? Yeah, this is Doze right here. This guy right here, he did the cover of my album. So Doze, my man Doze Green. That was like really my mentor growing up, and you know, he took me on like a little brother. So yeah, to be able to work with him and to work with KRS on this project were two things that, you know, starting to rap, you know, really young, I always wanted to have Doze do my cover and do a song with KRS, and so it happened.
okay, and this is like the last one for today.
Tight. Celebration, you know, first record off the label. It's not really an official record. It just kind of made its way where it did. To the people who wanted to find it. It comes with a movie, and I say a movie, not just a typical documentary. A really excellent piece done by Jason Goldwatch, and yeah, Spit It Clearly, Alchemist, release party Babu, classic tradition. Keep it going.
So yeah, this was like your first, your last 12-inch that you presented. So what up with some new projects from you guys? I've read that you're like working on a new LP. So can you speak on this a little bit?
New album will be soon. Yes, we're breaking ground on it, and actually taking time off from tour to do it. So if it, you know, it's serious when we're gonna do that, you know, and hopefully it comes out great. I think with this and a lot of time off doing what we do, I think it could be a really good record. Yeah, I'm interested. I'm interested, so that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's directors of photography is like the title.
Correct.
And anything settled in terms of label deals or so? I mean,
label will be locked in soon. We haven't set it because it's bad luck to present it before the ink is dry, but yeah, we're working on that as well. And as much as we care about our music, we care about the business. So, you know, it'll be tight if we make that decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, thanks for being guests on our show.
That was fresh.
We're signing the Def Jam.